scoring a white-tailed deer. I know a lot of people don't care about scores, and they're going to say, "Oh, we don't score them." But there are people out there that are curious, that wonder and where those measurements come from and how it's done. Now, this is going to be very, very basic, so people can have an easy understanding of where a deer score comes from. One of the main reasons is I had someone ask me if I would do a quick video on how I quickly field judge a deer, like on the hoof and sitting in a stand. But I think you have to understand where the measurements come from and how it's done before I can go into part two and teach you how judging deer off trail cam pics and all that kind of stuff, and how I can get pretty close. And I can teach you this, and it's a pretty simple method. He does have a little pincher here, so he is a 9, but we're going to call him a typical 8 just to show you where these measurements come from. In Boone and Crockett, Pope and Young, and Buckmasters, they all have measurement spots and references. Different regions have different lingos. These are G1s, brow tines, or eye guards. Some people just call them 1s. This is your G2, and this is your G3. Now, if we're looking at this as a typical 8, he does not have a G4. On this side, he kind of does have a little small G4. So those are your tine names. And on a score sheet, you have to do all those measurements. Now, they are measured basically from and this is not very detailed, but from the top of the beam. And we're going to measure each one of those. So we'll have a right and left side on our score sheet, and we'll have our G1 measurement. We'll have a G2 measurement, a G3 measurement. On this side, we'll have a G1, G2, G3, and this little G4. So you take all those, you write those tine lengths down on your score sheet. And then the next measurement we have is mass measurements, circumference measurements. And what they're talking about, and on your score sheet it'll probably be like right and a mass left. And you're going to have 4 points on each side. Now the first one is between the burr and the G1, and it's in the middle or the smallest point. Between the 1 and the 2, between the 2 and the 3. Now a lot of people get confused here because on a typical 8 we don't have a G4, but the deer has to have 4 mass measurements. So what we do is we go from the tip of the main beam and measure back around to your G3, and in between, right in the middle of that, that's where you get your 4th mass measurement. Now we have tine length and we have mass measurements, so we have all that totaled. Now we got to get our main beam scores. So your main beams are going to go from the burr on the back of the antler. We're going to wrap around and we're going to go all the way to the tip of this deer right here, and that's going to be your left and your right side main beam lengths. So you write that down. And the only other measurement that we get on this deer is the inside spread, not an outside spread. So I like to tape a core tape, and I move this till I find the absolute widest spot on the inside spread. But you got to keep it parallel. You can't be doing this. You got to stay parallel as you go, all the way through there. And that's how you find your inside spread. And then you take all those measurements and you add them up, and that is your gross score. That's how you gross score a deer.